Welcome to From the Fireside. We're going to read today the fourth chapter of 9/11 Act 2. The chapter is entitled Spokane. At Spokane, Alaska Airlines Flight 237 was taking off as the team prepared the first missile. It passed overhead and the missile locked on. The terrorists pulled the trigger. The missile fired, started up, then went off course and passed the plane. He grabbed the other launcher, but the flight was too far away. As he readied it, Southwest Flight 1047 was rolling down the runway. He raised the launcher, it locked on, and he fired. They picked up the launchers and headed to the vans to leave the area. The team had selected a clump of trees near the corner of South Center Road and West Electric Avenue as their firing position. As they were returning to the van, parked along West Electric Avenue, someone yelled, "Stop!" The one terrorist dropped the launcher he was carrying, pulled his weapon, and looked for a target. The voice was there again. "Throw down your weapons, hands on your head." The one man fired a shot in the direction of the voice. There were two shots, and the terrorist who had fired went down. The other man dropped the launcher and pulled his weapon. The voice came again. "Throw down your weapon. Lay face down on the ground." He looked around for the voice. Something made a noise a little to his right. He fired 3 shots into it. As he fired the third shot, 2 more shots were fired and he went down. Both men were badly wounded. They heard someone placing a 911 call. He asked for police and ambulances at his location. He said, "You know that plane that just crashed south of the airport?" The operator replied, "Are you some kind of a nutcase?" "Ma'am, I sincerely wish I were. I just saw a plane crash and I just shot the 2 guys who shot a missile at it." She dispatched the police to the site with the admonition to approach carefully as the caller was possibly delusional. The man did not approach the 2 men to help. He was concerned that they could still be a threat. 2 officers arrived, located the 2 men, removed their weapons, and rendered first aid till the EMTs arrived. Both men had 2 bullet wounds in the chest. When the 3rd officer came on site, the man who had done the shooting came out of hiding. He was carrying a small Taurus 9mm revolver, which he handed to the officer. "I guess you will want this." "Yes." "So you know I have another moon clip and 5 rounds in my pocket." "Keep them. Tell me, you were out walking and you carried 10 rounds?" The answer was the opposite of what he expected. "I don't think I would need more than that. If I did, I'd be carrying it. 10 rounds is what I carried to take out varmints. There were 2 of them. With only 2 of them, 10 rounds is enough. For 2 years, I carried an M1 in Korea. The M1 clip was 8 rounds. I carried 20 of them most of the time. But there were over 100 red Chinese coming at us. We had to aim our shots." The officer smiled and said, "Why did you shoot those 2? As he said it, he opened the cylinder and saw there was 1 live round. The Taurus 905 held 5 rounds. He had expended 4 of them, but then 2 men were down. He did not know that each had 2 wounds. With the short barrel of the Taurus at that range, 2 hits of the 4 for this old guy looked pretty good. Officer Kenneth Tate wasn't sure he could do that with his Glock. They tried to shoot me. They fired first. By the way, you know they shot down the plane, don't you?" "I just heard a message on the radio that we have a plane down." "Those 2 shot it down. I saw the missiles going up. Thank God one of them missed. They were carrying the launchers. I was here. I saw the van. I put myself here between where they were and the van. They killed a bunch of people. I wasn't close enough to stop them when they fired. I saw the first one that missed. I tried to get where I could stop them, but I couldn't move fast enough. I didn't want them to get away." The officer asked for his name. Till now, he was somewhat stooped, but he stood tall as he said, "Master Sergeant Chester A. Hancock, U.S. Army, 3rd Battalion, 31st Infantry. Son, could I sit down? My legs are a little shaky." "Sure. Are you hurt?" "No, not in the way you mean. I hurt all over thinking about the people on that plane. You know, in Korea, I saw a couple 100 men die in the months I was there. That was in battle. Today I saw probably that number die in seconds. I don't care if I go to jail for what I did today. It was right. It had to be done. I had to do it. We couldn't let those guys get away. They had just killed. They might kill again. I don't believe you will be sent to jail for what you did." The officer helped him up and back to the cruiser. He heard the report that the two men each had 2 rounds in the chest. The old man's legs were unsteady, but his hand must not have been when he fired. Later he would tell his fellow officers, "Master Sergeant Chester A. Hancock, U.S. Army 3rd Battalion, 31st Infantry, has been off duty for over 60 years. But today, when it counted, he was back in form." A reporter heard the comment, and the next morning the paper ran the quote and a picture of Chester when he returned from Korea. It also mentioned he had earned 3 Purple Hearts and a Silver Star. "I will have to keep your weapon. Things are a little messy right now. I want to take you home. I will be needed elsewhere. I don't consider you a threat. Someone will be contacting you to give you your weapon back. I am sure they will want to talk to you. Here is my card if you need anything. My car is along South Center Road. If you can drop me there, I can get home. Are you sure? I will be fine. You will be needed somewhere else to help people. Lots of people are going to need you today and in the future." The officer took him back to his car, noted the license number, make and model, and started back to his car. He turned and asked a question. "Where in Korea?" "You probably don't know the place. Most people don't know anything about Korea. It was 3 miles from a place called Chosun." "Chosun Reservoir?" "I wasn't there. We were just holding an area nearby. Those Marines were heroes. They got chopped up and frozen. The Chosen Frozen, they called themselves." The officer stepped back and saluted him. "Sir, thank you for then, for today. If you were 3 miles from that fight, you were in one." He turned and walked back to his car. At 22 years old, that man was a hero in a faraway land. No matter where he was, 3 miles from Chosun was not a rest camp. 3 Purple Heart wounds was far from nothing. Today, at 85, he was a hero again within a mile from his own home. The officer called in and was directed to the crash scene. The crash had hit an office of an OBGYN. Together there were at least 30 dead and 60 more injured. Mutual aid help was coming in from all sides, but 279 people on the plane were dead. They could not be helped. All they could do was clean up the mess. At the other cities, some cleanups were being done.